and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2022-23 season. And my name is Dan, and today we are doing my Game Week 15 team selection, as well as looking at my scores from Game Week 14, which, no surprise, were not so good. I'm sure a few of you guys can relate to that. Guys, if you are enjoying the content, please do leave a like. It really helps out the channel so much. So massive shout out to all of you guys who continue to like the videos. You guys are absolute legends. And do subscribe if you're new around here as well. But I say, let's get on with it. Okay, so Game Week 14 scores was disappointing, I suppose. I mean, if you look at the top half of the screen, things look pretty good. I was pretty happy. Clean sheets all around, and the extra points for Trippier for being an absolute hero. Trippier is really the player of the season, the cult hero of the season in many ways this year, isn't he? If you don't count Erling Haaland. Anyway, but moving further up the pitch, there was some disappointments in there. Obviously, Salah with the 7 points, he could have got a lot more from that game, which was kind of disappointing. Foden still continues to troll us with another bench appearance. I don't know about any of you guys, but since I brought Foden in my team, he hasn't started a game yet, which is really worrying at the moment, if I'm honest. And blanks pretty much everywhere else other than Martinelli. Mitrovic should have done much better in that game. He had got so many chances to score, unfortunately didn't score in that game. Andrea, similar situation, created so much in that game against Everton, but got nothing. So yeah, perhaps a little bit unfortunate there. And Solanke, well, apparently it's the Kiefer Moore show now at Bournemouth, because Solanke didn't even take a single shot, didn't even create a single chance for his teammates either during that game, which again, disappointing. Haaland, well, rotated slash rested slash he's just injured, so he couldn't play in this game, which was kind of, again, a little bit disappointing. So overall, I would say an average-ish kind of game week, but not enough to save me from a red arrow, unfortunately. Although I have to say, guys, I am in a couple of leagues with kind of some real top FPL managers, and somehow I got green arrows in the leagues that I was in with the top FPL managers, but red arrows in the ones that featured a lot more people. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a tough week for the template, I probably would say. But overall, a disappointing one for pretty much anyone who didn't have the likes of Wilson or Almiron in the FPL team. Maybe De Bruyne did well for some of you guys as well, but unfortunately, not for me. So, lots of questions to answer in Game Week 15, but we've got 2 free transfers, which is very nice indeed, and 1.6 million in the bank. So, let's go through my team, and then we'll talk about some different transfer moves we can make, depending on what kind of scenario we are faced with. So, in goal, guys, we are going to have Nick Pope, who we like very much. Southampton away. It's a pretty decent fixture. So, I think everyone who has Nick Pope is probably going to be pretty happy with this fixture, myself included. So, hopefully, Newcastle, who are actually sitting at the top of the table in terms of recent defensive performances, they've actually got the best defensive stats of all teams at the moment. Hopefully they're going to be able to continue that with some more clean sheets and some more just a few saves would also be nice for Pope. But Newcastle are kind of defending so well that he's not really being forced into too many saves, which is bittersweet, I suppose. Moving on into defence, we've got Cancelo against Fulham. We know we like this fixture a lot. I know I've got a little bit of heat, actually, in the comments section for saying that Fulham is the weakest defence in the league. Well, they are. You know, you can look through the statistics yourself if you don't believe me. Fulham really are a pretty tragic defence right now. They are conceding an insane amount of chances. That is just a simple fact of life, and therefore, we want to have those Man City players who are capable of attacking returns. And we know with Cancelo, when he drives up the pitch, he can get himself the occasional assist, he can get himself the occasional goal. And if you add a clean sheet to that, which you do kind of fancy, a clean sheet for Man City in any game, really, even though they're not quite Newcastle levels of defence at the moment. You do kind of fancy them for a clean sheet as well. So, a very good fixture for your Man City boys. Hopefully, we can get 3 starting Man City players by the time we hit the deadline, because this really is the fixture of the game week that we should all be targeting. Trippier in next, again, Southampton away. And again, Newcastle, great defence, so we expect good things from them. Southampton, not exactly known as being one of the stronger attacks in the league as well. So, clean sheet would be very nice, but with Trippier, you're always hoping for a little bit more. Him driving up the pitch, creating chances, maybe taking the occasional shot. Those set pieces are very useful for Trippier as well. Maybe it's about time he got another free kick goal. I would like that a lot. I'm sure some of you guys would as well. So yeah, fingers crossed for that in Game Week 15. Webster up next. So we're actually going to go for Webster. I'm rotating my 4.5 million defenders at the moment, depending on the fixture. This week, I think, favours Webster with this away game against Wolves. Obviously, Wolves, they haven't got Diego Costa, and also they struggle to get goals anyway. So, maybe a clean sheet here. You would hope so, because Brighton are in very good form right now. Although they are conceding a few chances, they are still generally a fairly decent defence, and they're certainly up against one of the weaker attacks. So, Webster, hopefully clean sheet, and you never know about the headed chances that you do get from those set pieces from Webster. You need a little bit of luck to get one of those corner headers, but you never know. Sometimes it comes off, and at 1% owned, I think Webster would be a really nice differential for me if that was to come off. Into midfield, we've got Salah against Spurs, so we have got a few of our big teams playing in big games against difficult opponents, and one of the big games of the weekend is going to be Liverpool versus Spurs, and it's an away fixture for Salah as well. So what are we expecting? Well, I'm not really sure, because although Spurs are probably still considered one of the better defences in the league, you have to say that Spurs have been slipping up a little bit recently and conceding the odd goal. Salah's form, on the other hand, has been pretty decent. Maybe not amazing in the Premier League, but in general, very good at the moment. So in his last 7 appearances in all competitions, and that does include the Champions League, he has actually got 7 goals and 1 assist in 7, which I would say a goal per game. That's pretty nice, right? And his performances in the last game, for example, against Leeds, he played really, really well. He got so many chances. He really looked back to his best. And I think he was actually very unfortunate not to get more. It was all about that Melie performance in goal that really, really kept Liverpool out of that. Kept Liverpool out of that game in general, really. So, yeah, Salah, I'm still feeling pretty confident about him. I still feel like he is a good player to have in your FPL team, and by no means a must sell. If you're moving to De Bruyne, I think that's an option, but I would be a little bit hesitant about making that move. Foden up next, the almighty troll. Although it's Pep Guardiola who is the troll, really. 90 minutes played in the Champions League game at midweek, which was kind of a little bit concerning. Although in that game, he put up a very good performance. So I'm wondering, you know, what's going on with Foden? Is he going to be able to play? Is this fatigue related? Is he going to continue to be rotated for these Premier League games? It's Pep Guardiola, so there's really, we've got to a point where there's really no logic behind it, and you kind of have to throw logic out the door and just kind of hope in a way. But hopefully we will be getting some early team news or just 15 minutes before deadline, something like that, which would be absolutely amazing if we could get that and get an idea of whether Foden is actually going to start this game against Fulham or not. Because if he is, that's going to be really good. And you know what? If Haaland is unavailable for this game, you have to wonder, is Foden going to be taking that striker position? Because Alvarez has been playing a lot of football recently. Grealish on the left-hand side has been playing pretty well. So, yeah, again, it's kind of a situation where, is Foden going to play or not? I wish I could tell you. I personally am just going to wait it out, wait till some early team news, and hopefully find out a solid answer by then, because there's no real reason for Foden to keep being benched. There's no logic behind it, but that's just Pep, and that's just football, and that's just FPL, and we kind of just have to deal with that. Do you take the risk and keep him? Kind of up to you, but for me, wait and see. Zaha up next, West Ham away. I think this is a really difficult fixture, and I've actually listed this as a red fixture because I feel like West Ham are just not conceding many goals at the moment. They're really not, and Zaha has been in some pretty poor form over the next after the last 2 games maybe. Poor performances from him, really. You never know when he's going to turn it on, though, and that's the trolly thing about Zaha. So Zaha is a massive troll in FPL as well. Every time you expect him to, or you give up hope on him, he suddenly turns it on and puts in an amazing performance, and it only takes a penalty or something for him to get FPL returns. So what do I say about Zaha? I don't know. Would I consider selling him? Yeah, absolutely. Would I sell him for a minus amount of points? Would I take a -4 to remove Zaha? Probably not. So that a few of you guys have asked me that. Should we remove Zaha for a -4? My answer to that is no, I don't think so. But would I remove him, you know, if we're upgrading him to Trossard or Rashford or Almiron for a free transfer? I think I'd be much more willing to do that. And maybe one of those moves will feature later on in this video. Martinelli up next. I've got no real intention of removing him despite this difficult fixture. So this is the other difficult fixture. Chelsea versus Arsenal, the other big one of the weekend, which may cause some people problems if they've got too many Arsenal players. I only have Martinelli in my team, so I think that's all right. I could just stick with the one guy and move on. But he's been in some very good form again. He seems to be back, doesn't he, scoring goals. So yeah, excited to see what else Martinelli has to offer as he pushes to hopefully get a starting berth in the Brazil team at the World Cup. I'm sure he's got his eyes closely, very, very closely on that kind of honour, I suppose. So yeah, Martinelli, he stays. He's not going anywhere. I don't care if it's a difficult fixture. And you know what? Chelsea have actually, they've been slipping a little bit. They've been slipping a little bit in certain games over the last few, haven't they? And yeah, I just think Martinelli and Arsenal's form. Hopefully, Arsenal can get a win there. Up front, we've got Haaland. Again, it's a hope. It's the hope that kills us, right? Haaland still hasn't trained yet, as far as I'm aware. Whilst recording this video, at time of recording this video, I don't know if he's trained, which is difficult. He hadn't done previously in the week. Is he going to be available? We don't know. Pep Guardiola, is all he's given us so far is that they hope that Haaland will be able to help them at Fulham. So Pep Guardiola is being incredibly mysterious. That's what he was doing last game week again. So I have to say, we all know that if Haaland is playing in this game, you start him, you captain him, and there's no way you even consider selling him. If, on the other hand, he is unavailable or not going to play, then you have to consider selling him. You really do. Even though that Brentford fixture after that is really nice as well. Is he going to be available for that? So for me, guys, again, it's same with Foden. I need to wait until I find last-minute deadline news, team news 15 minutes before deadline or something like that, before making a decision on Haaland. So I wish I could give you a straight answer. I wish I had a straight answer. We all do, but that's all I got for you right now, guys. Mitrovic up front, difficult fixture against Man City, and then another difficult fixture against Manchester United. How much are we backing Mitrovic to score in these games? Well, I mean, if it's going to be anyone, if it's going to be any forward in FPL right now who you back to score in these games, it's probably going to be Mitrovic, to be fair, isn't it? But these are really super difficult games, so it's not something you would expect, but he has been in top form. He's taken so many shots on. Fulham are a good attack, just a weak defence. So maybe if anyone is going to score against these teams, it will be Mitrovic. But can you count on that? I don't think he can, and I think you'd have to be tempted to remove Mitrovic in these very, very difficult fixtures. And finally, Solanke, who has just not been in the form I want him to be in. But I wonder if there was maybe a change in tactics slightly against Spurs, and we're going to go back to a slightly more Bournemouth, which is a little bit more centralised around Solanke against these two much easier fixtures going into the final two game weeks before the World Cup. So Leeds and Everton, they're good fixtures for Solanke. With a 5.7 million forward, you don't expect too much. You can't expect too much. You have to kind of manage your expectations a little bit there, and that's what I'll be doing. But I am kind of secretly hoping that he does just kind of pop off. I would really like it. A penalty would be really nice as well. Solanke, another penalty taker in this team. We're loaded up on penalty takers. We do enjoy them. Onto the bench, guys. We've got Iverson, not going to play. Anderson against West Ham, a decent backup option, but I do prefer Webster against Wolves. We've got Andreas against Man City. I don't think you play a 4.6 million midfielder against Man City realistically, do you? And Tyrone Mings is last on the bench there because of his game against Manchester United. Aston Villa have been in very poor form. They are catapulting down the table in terms of defensive performances. They're just looking worse and worse with each given game week. So yeah, all confidence for me lost in Tyrone Mings and Aston Villa at this point. And I don't think I'll play him again before the World Cup, if I'm completely honest. But yeah, maybe I can transfer him out. I don't really think it's worth using the transfer on him, to be honest. We'll just leave him on the bench. He is super cheap after all. Picked him up for 4.3 million. So there you go. That's what the team kind of looks like right now. Like I say, two transfers. So we're going to use both of them one way or another, I imagine. But it's going to depend on a couple of different situations. So first of all, if Haaland is unavailable, if he's not available, then I'm going to transfer him out. I know, crazy to transfer out Haaland, but this is the situation we find ourselves in. So I would be transferring out Haaland, and I would also be transferring out Zaha, and I would replace those two players with Wilson and De Bruyne. So I've still tripled up on the Man City. I've got some Man City players there, some Man City attackers. I've got a Man City attacker that I can comfortably captain in De Bruyne, and that will be really, really nice indeed. But if Haaland is available, then that makes things a little bit trickier. And you know what? If Foden is unavailable, again, we've got some more decisions to make. So if Foden is unavailable, maybe I keep, well, not unavailable, but if I find out Foden isn't starting, again, we do a similar thing. Haaland down to Wilson, and Foden will go up to De Bruyne instead. But that will leave me so much money in the bank. I'd be tempted to actually make an upgrade elsewhere as well. Not exactly sure where, but I'm sure I'll find somewhere of doing that. Maybe try and get that third Man City player in, but it would be difficult at that point. If Foden isn't playing and Haaland isn't playing, it's going to be difficult. But guys, obviously we don't have that information yet. I wish, I honestly, I kind of feel bad in a way, because I make these videos and hope to give you a pretty clear idea on what kind of moves I'm planning. This week there is so many variables, and I'm not actually going to be able to make a single decision until right at the last second when we get some early team news, which I hope and I pray that we will, which I don't even know if we'll get that. So my third and final option, and this is the perfect scenario option. This is, everything is beautiful. Foden starting, Haaland starting. We're all having a merry picnic at the weekend. But if that was the case, then this is the move I'm going to make. So it's going to be Zaha out. He's going to be going for probably Trossard, and then Mitrovic will be going for Wilson. So a double switch there, Zaha to Trossard, Mitrovic to Wilson. But I'm recording this before the Manchester United game, and I am keeping a close eye on Rashford. And if he puts in another good performance in the Europa League, then I am considering, or if he only plays like 60 minutes and puts in a good performance, so we know he's pretty well rested, then I would consider going for Rashford ahead of Trossard. Like, those are my two options for me, Rashford or Trossard. Obviously, Almiron is not an option for me because I already have Wilson and Trippier and Pope, so I'm already tripled up on Newcastle. I wish I could quad up, but not quite an option, is it? So, yeah, it's between Trossard and Rashford, and I'll put Trossard in for now, but I just wanted to warn you guys that could easily change, and I'm going to try and make my mind up on that one this evening. Hopefully, I'll update you guys on Twitter of where my thinking is in the debate of Trossard versus Rashford, because I know that's a debate a lot of you guys are having right now. Maybe I'll put up some stats on Twitter as well to help you guys make that decision. But yeah, that's kind of what my team is going to look like. Hopefully, if everything goes well and Foden and Haaland are starting, we're going to put the captain's armband in that case on Haaland. That makes a lot of sense, right? And for safety, I guess we put the vice captain on Cancelo. It's between Foden, who's a minute's risk, Salah, who has got a difficult fixture, and just going for the safe Cancelo option. So maybe it's Cancelo, or is it Callum Wilson? I don't know. I feel like I just want to target this Fulham game, so let's go for Cancelo. And there you go, guys. That would be what the team would look like. Yeah, this looks amazing, but it really is dependent on many things that we can't really guarantee are going to happen either way. So look, we are crossing our fingers at this point, guys, unfortunately. And hopefully we can get some answers close to deadline, and hopefully I can share those answers with you. But for now, this is what we got. This is what we're dealing with. It's a pretty decent team, to be fair. So there we go. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy today, please do leave a like. Like I say, it really does help out the channel so much. So yeah, I do appreciate anyone who likes the video so much. Like, it genuinely does make a difference. Do subscribe if you're new around here as well. And tomorrow, guys, we are going to do an artificial intelligence. I appreciate that a lot of you guys are maybe losing a little bit of faith in content creators, in the just randomness of results, really. So I'm going to try and see what the computer tells us to do with our transfers and with our teams and stuff. So yeah, tomorrow there will be a video using information from artificial intelligence to try and make the decisions for us, since clearly we are incapable of making them ourselves. But there we go, guys. Thanks so much for watching once again, and I will see you later, mates. Bye bye.